So when we talk about EIN only, no doc business loans, you have the small players and then you have the big players. And in today's conversation, I want to talk to you about four biggies. I want to compare and contrast four big players: PayPal, Square, Can Capital, and Reliant Funding. Don't go anywhere. You're going to love today's conversation. I guarantee it. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you were to ask me. If you are doing as powerful as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's convo, I want to compare and contrast four players when it comes to EIN only, no doc business loans. So we have PayPal, Square, Can Capital, and Reliant Funding. So when you hear the term EIN only, no doc business loans, there are two important concepts that I want to elucidate. I want to clarify real quick. First, we have EIN only. So EIN only means what? It means that you got to have an employer identification number from the IRS. You get it from the IRS, but this is just a number. What you want to do is you want to work around your operations, your business's operation. You want to strengthen your business's finances so that in the end you have a strong EIN. You will never get a huge EIN only, no doc business loan, if you have a lethargic, a stagnant, an inactive EIN. So you really got to work hard to pump up the EIN. And part of it is working on your business's credit. And the second concept that is very important to understand is no doc. No doc just means what it means. No documentation. In other words, the lender is not going to bother you with a constellation of document requests. They only want to know one thing: either your bank statements for the last 3 months or your accounting statements. In other words, they want to have access to your bank account or to your accounting software. And that's important because a lot of folks out there, when we talk about EIN only, no doc business loan, they just don't want to provide anything. How is that possible? Think about it, folks. Let's be real here. You just want to get a loan. You want to get a huge loan without providing anything. It doesn't work that way. You got to provide something. You got to provide some kind of evidential matter, some kind of evidence. Okay, this is very important. And even though in a no doc business loan arrangements, barely no documentation is requested, you still need to get your paperwork together, because at the end of the day, you still run a company. You want to run a legit business, so you want to take care of things like articles of incorporation or organization, your financial statements, your bank statements, your credit card sales reports, your tax returns, and your business licenses and permits. Those are quintessential to running your business smoothly. And one thing you also need to know is you need to actually know the various types of no doc business loans. So when we talk about EIN only, no doc business loans, you have a bevy of options to think about. So you have lines of credit, no doc lines of credit. You have short-term business loans. You have no doc business line of credit. You have business cash advance. You have invoice financing, accounts receivable factoring, and you also have merchant cash advances. So the whole idea here is, so when you talk about no doc business loans, you have to think about collateralizing a loan. In other words, the lender doesn't care about your paperwork, but they do care, at least they care about your profitability, your business's profitability. So that's why they want to have access to your bank account or to your accounting software. If they don't have that, then they're okay with collateralizing the loan. In other words, they will give you a secure loan. So for example, when you buy equipment, they will own the equipment until you pay off the loan, or they can actually provide the money for you to buy inventory, where they actually retain ownership over the inventory, so that your suppliers will, your customers rather, will pay the lender directly. So you have all kinds of arrangements in a no doc EIN only business loan credit arrangement, so that you're able to get the funds you need for your business, and the lender is satisfied with the risk mitigation strategy they have put in place. Because at the end of the day, guess what? The relationship, the lending and borrowing relationship must be mutually beneficial. Okay, this is very important. Okay, before I actually compare and contrast those four players when it comes to huge EIN only, no doc business loans, please check out the short evaluation approach video. It tells you about our rigorous approach when it comes to reviewing, categorizing, and listing no doc business loans and all kinds of loans for that matter on this show. Check this out. All right, let me first start with Can Capital. So when you think about Can Capital, I want you to think about huge EIN only, no doc business loans. Okay, this is a company that is very great. They are an alternative lender, and they have one of the longest tenures of any players in the industry. Okay, Can Capital offers both short-term EIN only no doc business loans and no doc business lines of credit, which are great for businesses that are looking for access to quick and flexible funding. Okay, what are the pros and cons here when you think about Can Capital? So Can Capital, you have simple application and fast funding, flexible requirements. They will work with startups and those with bad credit, no problem. In some cases, they will work with businesses with current debts. They have moderate rates for short-term loans, and they offer, for certain situations, a prepayment discount for short-term loans. What about the cons here? Both products require daily repayments. That's the thing that people don't like about Can Capital. I mean, they are working on it, but they haven't changed it. You gotta pay them daily. They don't trust you for 6 months or 9 months. They don't care about what you wrote in the business plan. They don't trust you. They want to get paid every single day. So this is some kind of you just got to get used to it, okay? And another con is that short-term loans are not amortizing. They could be more expensive than other online term loans, and they do have an origination fee. They also have some admin fee, and you can't use them to build personal or business credit, okay? And we're talking about maximum loan amount $250,000, okay? The loan terms 6 to 18 months. The interest rate, factor rate of 1.15 to 1.48%. So this is something you need to think about. And to qualify for this no doc EIN only business loan, time in business at least 6 months, gross revenue $150,000 a year. There are no credit score minimum, okay? And the thing we love here is that to apply, they want to have your bank statements. That's it. If you don't have your bank statements, they are okay with your business tax return. That's it. Nothing very complicated, and you want to be very, very responsive with them. This Can Capital, their loan reps are very responsive. They will get back to you quickly and make sure that you respond to them. Okay? They do have. Now, I was talking to you earlier about an administrative fee that they charge. Is a little high. It's like $595. But again, it's part of it's a cost of doing business with them. Okay? And they also charge an origination fee of up to 3% for their short-term loans. The short-term EIN only, no doc business loans. Let me talk to you now about Reliant Funding. This is the second player I want to review today. Now, we love the fact that Reliant Funding is very flexible. They are more flexible than Can Capital when it comes to allowing startups. For example, if you only have 3 months of operational history and a minimum personal credit score of 550, they will accept you. They are a great no doc business line of credit, business line of credit or business loan company for both startups and businesses with bad credit. Okay, and they can fund you up to $500,000, and the factor rates starts are around 1.22. So this is pretty good, and we love the fact that they're not asking for a lot of things from you. They just want to have the last 3 statements from your business bank account, or the last 3 credit card processing statements, and of course you gotta add to that your government issued photo ID. That's it. And what are the pros and cons here? Based on our research, we've seen that Reliant Funding approves 70 to 75% of applicants. This is a high approval rate, right? If you ask me, I mean, and we have, and the Lord knows we have reviewed hundreds of players, hundreds of lenders out there, and an approval of 70 to 75% is pretty good. You have fast access to short-term funding. You have a simple, streamlined application process. No hard credit score requirements. It's easier to qualify for than banks, and no PG is required. No personal guarantee is required. What about the cons? They do have short repayment terms. They have daily repayments for certain transactions. Eligibility requirements are not always clear, and you have a full range of factor rates that is not available. Okay, so this is something you need to know. And in terms of, they have experience financing industries such as construction, restaurants and bars, healthcare and services, franchises, transportation, trucking, auto repair, and retail. Now, don't worry, even if you're not in those industries, still contact them. You want to call them and they'll take care of you. Okay, this is not a problem. And one thing I want to mention here is that Reliant Funding does not work with businesses that have an open bankruptcy. Okay, and they cannot work with businesses that have significant judgments or liens without a payment plan. So those are the two restrictions you need to be aware of when you contact Reliant Funding. Another thing I want to say here is that Reliant Funding overall is a great company, is a great lender. They do have, they're very responsive also. They will work with you. They will assign a loan rep to you who will help you, who will guide you through the whole process. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. I'm still talking to you today about, I'm still comparing and contrasting PayPal, Square, Can Capital, and Reliant Funding. And we're talking about huge EIN only, no doc business loans. Number 3, we have Square Capital. Now, Square Capital is kind of cool too, if you are a Square customer, okay? So if you're not, then it becomes a little complicated because they want you to sign up. But if you are an existing Square customer, you are so lucky because it's just logical that you just follow your instinct and go to them for a huge EIN only, no doc business loan. Because what they do is they already have access to your data. Because Square actually they see whatever you process through the payment processing platform. Okay, so that's what it is. So they offer no doc business line of credits and no doc business loans to businesses that use their platform for payment processing. And because Square works with select borrowers using their service, this no doc business line of credits and business loans are more affordable than other options. And they do provide financing between $300 and $100,000 in capital to Square sellers. There aren't any strict eligibility requirements, but Square looks at your processing volume and account history. So if you show a steady history of credit and debit card sales, you could qualify for an advance. And the Square charges factor rates of about 1.1 to 1.16. Okay, this is kind of cool, and this is very affordable if you compare that to the 1.42 that I just spoke to you about when it came to Reliant Funding, for example. Okay, what are the pros and cons here? Pros: you have a simple flat fee, no credit score or time in business requirements, no lengthy application, you do have a fast funding process in just a few days. What about the cons? Now, this service, as I said earlier, is only available for Square point of sale users. This is by invitation only. The daily repayment can eat into cash flow. You have an unclear renewal process. The loan amount is a little small, from $300 to $100,000. You have a loan term of 18 months maximum, and the interest rates can also be high for some customers. So this is something you need to think about. Now, they do want annual revenue minimum of $10,000. Again, they look at the volume of transactions processed, but at a minimum, they want you to have $10,000 in a yearly income. Okay, and one thing they do is that they also want to see your business licenses, if needed, your articles of incorporation or organization, and in some cases, your tax returns. Let me now review quickly here PayPal working capital. So when we talk about huge EIN only, no doc business loans, PayPal is a big player. Now, their business model is kind of analogous, kind of identical to what Square does. In other words, you got to be a PayPal customer. Okay, so the PayPal is another payment processing company that provides no doc business loans and business line of credits, and their business line of credit or business loan is called PayPal Working Capital, and they can extend you an advance in an amount that is equal to 35% of your annual PayPal sales, with a cap of $97,000 for your first advance. The thing here is that PayPal has two products. They're kind of sometimes complementary, sometimes difficult to really separate. So you have the PayPal loans, business loans, and then you have PayPal Working Capital. Either way, you can apply through PayPal Working Capital or PayPal loans to get the no-doc business loans you need. Okay, and in terms of eligibility, this is pretty simple. If you already have a fairly active PayPal merchant account, this is fantastic. You need to have a PayPal business or a premium account for at least 3 months, and a minimum of $15,000 for business account holders or $20,000 for premium account holders in annual PayPal sales. Okay, and they don't require a credit check or credit history, so it's a great option for business owners who need to improve their credit. And whereas your credit score is extremely important for bank loans, credit union loans, SBA loans, and other medium-term loans, is not at all a factor when it comes to granting you a huge EIN only, no doc business loan from PayPal. Okay, instead of using your credit score to determine your eligibility, PayPal relies on your sales history to determine if they will work with you. This is something you need to think about. And so we're talking here in terms of loan amounts, you can get all the way to $1 million. So this is what it is. This is, and they're very, very good at that. What are the pros and cons of PayPal here? The pros: you have a fast application. It is easy to qualify for it. They have low rates compared to other short-term lenders, and you have an easy repayment. Okay. What about the cons? This could get expensive. This cuts into your cash flow, especially when it comes to the daily repayments or weekly repayments. There is no prepayment incentive, and they do have small loan amounts for certain borrowers. Even though we've said that the loan can go all the way to $1 million, depending on the geography and depending on the volume that you have through them, that you process through them, they could actually approve you for, say, 100 grand or 200 grand in some cases. So, folks, I've compared and contrasted PayPal, Square Capital, Ken Capital, and Reliant Funding. So which no-doc EIN only business loan company should you choose? This is something we need to think about here. It really depends, folks. There are a lot of criteria you need to pay attention to when choosing a huge EIN only no-doc business loan, right? Now, you want to think about the amount, right? How much can you get from them? What is how easy is it to get the loan? What is the application process? This is very important. You want to consider the interest rates, right? Because the interest rate is kind of important. And when we talk about interest rate, I'm speaking about not just the APR, not just the rate itself, but also all the fees. Sometimes you have a whole constellation of fees, from origination fee all the way to a prepayment fee, administrative fees. All those will eat into your into the final amount that you get from the lender. So you want to pay attention to those. You also want to pay attention to the lender's reputation. How easy are they to work with? What is their experience in your particular industry, right? Because the last thing you want is to go with a lender who has no idea what kind of industry you're in. Of course, you're going to get the money, but if they might give you a lower amount than you originally applied for. Okay, but if they knew your industry, if they're comfortable with your industry, they could actually grant you a higher amount. This is why you might want to work with a lender who understands your industry, who has done deals before in your industry. You also want to look at the repayment terms. Those are important. And if anything is unclear to you, you want to elucidate this ASAP with the lender. You want to call and ask questions, right? Don't be shy. It's your money. It is your company's financial situation we're talking about here. You want to check the contracts. So once they send you a contract, the loan agreement, the promissory notes, you want to read everything. If you have no experience, if you have no knack for reading legalese, you want to hire someone, a lawyer or an accountant, a CPA, who can actually help you read through the terms and the conditions of the EIN only, no doc business loan that you have in front of you before signing it. Okay, and you want to check the qualifications also. This is very important. And in our view, it's always important to contact the lender directly. All right, folks. In today's conversation, our choice is Reliant funding. For Reliant funding, the loan amounts are larger and the loan transparency is superior. Next will be Can Capital. So in terms of our ratings here, our scores, Reliant funding 9.5 over 10. Can Capital 9 over 10. Square Capital 8.5 over 10. PayPal Working Capital 8.5 over 10. Thank you so much for your attention, folks. I really appreciate it. I will speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.